This is Samsung's brand new Galaxy S24 Ultra, and in my other hand I have last year's Galaxy S23 Ultra. They both have the S Pen, 4 cameras on the back and a very similar design. But once you start using them, you'll notice quite a few differences. What has not changed much, however, is just the size. This new S24 Ultra remains just as big as the S23 Ultra, with a 6.8-inch screen and a hefty weight of 233 grams. The new model now has a titanium frame, but since the previous model already uses lightweight aluminum, the weight is the same on both, and the only benefit of the new titanium material is better durability. The screen on the S24 Ultra is the same 6.8-inch size, but it is now completely flat, ditching the curved edges from previous generations. And this is actually surprisingly helpful when you use the S Pen, and it doesn't slide off the edge of the phone. And even the sides of this new model are actually flattened, and it has a more boxy, almost iPhone-like look. Now take both phones outside and you notice the S24 Ultra gets much brighter, but also thanks to the new Gorilla Glass armor, it has very few reflections, so it's much easier to use the phone outdoors. Let me quickly stop on a dime here to remind you to subscribe to the channel. In the next few days we'll have a battery test and lots more, so you don't want to miss that. The big reshuffle in the S24 Ultra happens in the camera department though. The 10x zoom camera Samsung was known for is now replaced by a new 5x zoom lens. And this makes sense, most people use 5x zoom way more often. Compared to the digital 5x zoom before, the new S24 Ultra feels like a huge improvement. And you can also use this new 5x camera for portrait snaps to get some truly epic headshots. This new 5x camera uses a 50 megapixel sensor, which is a large sensor. It means Samsung can crop in without losing quality and give you 10x zoom at great quality. Is it better than the S24 Ultra in its native lens? It's close enough, so we can't tell the difference in most cases. And here are just a few photos. Sometimes 10x on the new camera looks even better than the native lens on the old phone. Quite the achievement. And just like before, you can zoom up to 100 times, but honestly, that's more of a gimmick, and I would avoid going over 20x zoom as images start looking really pixelated. However, the changes to the main camera might be just as important as the new zoom lens. For starters, you can now actually see exactly what your photo will look like before you capture it thanks to HDR preview. Compare this to the S23 Ultra where you don't have that function, and what you see in the viewfinder on the previous phone and the picture take usually look vastly different. And then the other big change is just in the way photos look. The S23 Ultra suffered from severe over-sharpening, a problem no other flagship phone has. Good news is that the S24 Ultra mostly fixes that, and images have softer and more pleasing detail. Colors have not changed too much, they're still a bit on the warm side, which by now is known as the Samsung look. Now unfortunately the ultra-wide camera has not changed much, and it keeps that strong over-sharpening effect that we had on the S23 Ultra. But enough about the cameras. Under the hood you have a brand new chipset on the S24 Ultra, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. It's a newer chipset, so I wasn't surprised that it's faster, but I just did not quite expect it to be such a big leap forward. On the CPU focused Geekbench test, single core performance goes up by the usual 10%, however it scores nearly 30% better for multi-core performance, which is very impressive. And when it comes to gaming and graphics, we see even bigger gains. You now have ray tracing support, which results in games that look slightly more realistic, and performance shoots up by 30%. Sure, the S24 Ultra throttles just like all the other phones and the performance dips after a few minutes, but even after the throttling, it scores a 40% improvement over the S23 Ultra. This is a much better gaming phone. And even the base version of the S24 Ultra now comes with 12 GB of RAM, which feels much better for multitasking than the 8 gigs we had on the S23 Ultra base version. As for software, you have the new One UI 6.1 on the S24 Ultra, and it will take at least a few weeks until the same software arrives on the S23 Ultra. This means that all those cool AI features on the S24 Ultra, well, yes, all of them are coming to the S23 series as well. We will focus on those features in a separate piece, but here's a quick summary. Now you have circle to search, which is very cool. Long press the home button, circle anything to Google it. Works surprisingly well, identifying things I never thought it would very accurately. You also have translation built in the Samsung keyboard, which is another very cool feature. I have a Spanish friend, and while I do speak Spanish, this definitely helps me for those moments when I feel lazy. I can just type in English and you have it translated. You also have an AI live translation feature in the phone app, but that one is much more fiddly and I probably would not use it unless absolutely necessary. Still, it's nice to have. My favorite feature, however, has got to be the new AI summary in the Samsung browser. The summaries are very useful and can save you a lot of time in reading. You get a few new photo editing tricks like the ability to resize a subject or straighten up a crooked photo. They work well, but the processing actually takes some time, so this is a barrier and I see myself only using those features occasionally. Alright, next we have battery life. The battery size on the S24 Ultra is 5000 mAh, same as on the S23 Ultra. This gives you about a day and a half of use, which is good, but a bit less than the very best you can get on a phone. Here at PhoneArena we run our own battery tests. The lightest one is web browsing over a Wi-Fi connection, and on the S24 Ultra we get a score of over 20 hours, which is a 6% improvement compared to the S23 Ultra. Now another test we do is playing back YouTube videos. And here the S24 Ultra actually scored 6% lower than the previous model at 8 hours and 18 minutes. So roughly battery life seems to be about the same on this new phone. Charging speeds have not changed either, maxing out at 45 watts for wired charging and 15 watts for wireless charging. A full charge takes just a bit more than an hour while you're plugged in and slightly less than 2 hours when you go wireless. Now we were hoping to see support for the new Qi 2 standard with magnets, but there is none of that on the S24 Ultra. Right now your best option if you want magnetic wireless charging is just to buy a third-party case. So let's summarize all new S24 Ultra features, and I'll just order them by importance in my own opinion. First, the new screen that eliminates reflections is to me the biggest change. It truly feels amazing for outdoor use. Second come the improvements around the camera system. Third comes the new design with flatter sides and the flat screen, which I like. And all the AI features are very nice to have, but considering they are coming to older Samsung phones as well as Google Pixel phones, I would put them at the fourth place. And on the list of downsides, first comes the higher price, which does not feel very justified for the S24 Ultra. Second comes the lack of a bigger battery. And third comes the lack of improvement in charging speeds. So what do you think about the S24 Ultra and all the changes in it? Hit me up in the comments, thumbs up and sub before you leave, and I'll see you in the next one.